Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A warm word of welcome to today's webinar. We have an half an hour today, not our usual 17 minutes, because we think it's a really important topic. Microsoft Outlook and Microsoft Teams. Which one of the two, or is it either or, or is it both and? Morning, Wayne. A warm word of welcome. Duncan is sorting out some audio issues with Desiree. And yeah, a warm word of welcome. We would really like you to participate today and ask questions in the chat. I've enabled camera and audio, and we've tested that, and it does work. So if you would like to speak, or if you would like to get on camera, you can just enable that, and that can happen. Otherwise, hello, Milani. A warm word of welcome. Otherwise, just type in the chat any questions that you may have. So today we're also experimenting a little bit with the Ask Me Anything format. You can ask Richard and Duncan anything. They're the Outlook and Teams experts, or the other way around. Teams expert Duncan and Outlook expert, sorry, Teams is Richard and Outlook is Duncan. And I will disappear in a moment. I'll be in the background, but I will be off camera. But if you have any questions for them, pop it in the chat and just unmute yourself, raise your hand, and then we can manage that. By the way, I would, Duncan, will you just mute, please? I would just like to launch one poll, and we are very curious to know what your main reason is for joining us today. So on the screen, you should now see a poll. Just let us know, please, just for our interest. And if you're in here for your organization, we may contact you afterwards and say, well, maybe we can help you, maybe we can't. Let's talk. But just let us know. It's also very, very interesting. Always very interesting to know why people join us. Okay, so that poll will be running. I won't close the poll, and you can just pop in there anytime and let us know. Mostly so far, the personal and professional development, that's fantastic. And looking for something for my team. So yeah, we may get in touch with you afterwards and just to hear how we could possibly help you. That's enough from my side. Keep going in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat. Hi Beverly, hi Senzo, and everybody that's joining us. Richard is our Teams expert in our group. Duncan is our Outlook expert, and I'm somewhere in between. I'm learning Teams, and I must honestly say that initially I really resisted Teams. I didn't like Teams at all. When you used to facilitate our workshops on Teams, I didn't like it at all. But Richard encouraged me because we are now, Duncan, Richard, I, and Colin Hall, we are now hosts in the Productivity Club. And Richard recommended that for all the work for the Productivity Club, we all get together on Teams. And I must be honest with you that it's made such a big difference. When we talk club stuff, it's all on Teams now. No more emails flying back and forth, no more shared documents in version 1 year or version 2 there. Everything is in the same place. So, Richard, I think that's a good segue maybe for you to maybe first Duncan say good morning and then we'll hand over to Richard. Duncan, just a quick hi.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Yes, we look forward to any questions you might have regarding Teams or Outlook or the integration of them. And yeah, and we'll also hand you over to Richard, who will take you through some really useful Teams features as well.
Great stuff. And Richard, I think with that, it's over to you for a quick introduction. Good morning, Raven. That's fine, Raven.
Yes,
The
morning.
load shedding at the moment, I'm just seeing Raven's comment there. We are recording this. So later on today, you will get an email from us saying the recording is available and you can, you can, of course, go and watch it there again. Great stuff. Richard de
Perfect.
Villiers, the king of teams. Over to you.
Wow, I'll have to live up to that one. Thank you, Gerard. Thanks, Duncan, and welcome everybody, and a hi to everybody on this call. So great to have you here. What excites is the fact that Gerard has enabled the camera and the mics. It means we don't just have that chat. Type in the chat. Type in the chat. Honestly, if you want to click through and switch on your mic and engage, we'd love that. Really would love that. That's where the learning is going to come in for us and for you. And we've prepared a little slide deck just to go through and position you on what we're looking at today. So let me do that. I'm going to go across the screen quickly. Let me know that you can see it. There it
I
is.
can.
Outlook or MS Teams or both and we give you the answer straight here out of the cover sheet, the cover title slide, and you'll see that there's all of us online, and we all have the option to use Teams and Outlook. So the verse is a little harsh maybe, but we're saying is it one with both, or is it both? And if you look at the answer we give, we're saying both and we'd love to hear whether you agree that that is actually the case. So you'll see that I don't know if Microsoft will enjoy that, but we've put the Outlook on top of Teams. We've shown you that it's a Teams Outlook. They work together, and we'll share with you now why we think so. But we'd love for you to also share with us what your experience is. So let me just go over to the next slide, because it's now going to speak to us around what we are seeing, how we would use it. So this is the departure point for us in this discussion today. We are saying, we're concluding that when it comes to Teams engagement and teams working together, then there's the both. It's Teams and Outlook. So definitely, if you're looking at, always use it when collaborating in teams. So if your organization is a Teams platform user and you use Teams for your remote work and for your on-site work, and everybody engages on Teams, definitely we'll even step through the types of things that you'll use in Teams. And we're saying always use Teams. It diminishes that inbox. If there's anything that has reduced an inbox, it's the use of Teams, if you're all on the same platform. Then Outlook, we're saying your teams will be your internal working with your teams itself. External, while as you see at the top, team related communication, external members of the team, then yes, you can use an Outlook and you can share and engage with them a little bit when contacting external team members. Then why not put a CC to your team? So if you've got a team running, put a CC in there, and then at least you've got a copy of that mail as you're engaging with it in the Teams context. So definitely try as always use Teams for your team's collaboration. It just makes sense, right? And then all other communication. Now you're engaging with teams, with people and your external parties. Then just use your Outlook as you would normally, as it says here, as normal, as we've always done. But when it comes to Teams, you'll see typically if you can use the chat, if you can use your posts, if you can use your channels in Teams, and you use the meetings to do your invites and you're engaging on there, everything gets recorded, right? Everything comes together. So that's definitely the conclusion, that there's merit to just remain in Teams and reduce your inbox. And all that file sharing and collaboration just goes up a level. So that's the position. I think just with that said, we've got some specific scenarios. We'll show you how Teams and Outlook already are made to work together. Now, maybe you've not seen all the little interaction points in Outlook, and from Outlook, from Teams again back to Outlook. But Microsoft is distinctly helping us to work together, and Teams and Outlook. So it's not just us saying, there's a product and there's a product, so use it for these scenarios. We'll show you how they actually speak to each other. There's a question. Yeah, please, if you do, is there anything at this point that do you agree with this? Have you experienced it differently? So this is my question just to you at the moment. If you wouldn't mind, just you could come onto camera, you could just use your audio if you so wished, but just share with us whether there's any reason why you feel you've experienced it differently, as we've just put on the slide there for you. Agreed. Thank you. Wayne saying no, definitely he's okay with that understanding. Anybody else? You're welcome to speak up, but in the chat as well, if you so want to just give us an indication. Okay. Is there anybody who might feel differently, that they've seen a different experience? Right, saying just need guidance. Yep, I can help. Teams for calls. Yeah, absolutely. Depends on the rest. Okay. Frustrated.
Richard, maybe you can just, Desiree says she's pretty clueless, so trying to understand the external and external thoughts. So maybe
Okay.
internal and external. As I
Yes.
understand it, Desiree, internal is for anybody in your company or in your team. That's internal. External is for people outside of your group or your company. Richard, is that more or less summarizing it correctly?
Definitely so, yes. It just makes sense, right? If you're internal to, you've already got all the security in place. If you go into Teams and you put in a name or you start a chat, the name pops up, you pick up on that person, you can start chatting away right away. You can do a calls, audio call, you can do a video call right there in that chat. You can set up a group call. In other words, you're in the chat and you add two other people, and you're next thing you're in a group call, and you can start again, kick off a video call on that understanding, or just an audio call. And you can start chatting and sharing files, so you can collaborate straight away. Let's see what else we've got. Yes, but okay, yes, external.
Mute. My apologies there. So I'm back. Should be back on mic. I just want to pick up on what Nawal said. Frustrated. Would you like to go on
Yes, I
camera
was going to
or
also ask.
microphone, please, Nawal, and just tell us what the frustrated means?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, the frustrated means really, I get the impression that Teams works perfectly within organizations. I'm an organization of one, and so predominantly lean towards the external. And as an organization of one, I have 4 email addresses. So trying to log on to Teams at any time is always a mission. And generally, one just doesn't have time. If you cannot pick up the technology initially, then I am a Zoom better. And I can get onto Zoom immediately. I can share documents. I can do everything on Zoom, followed by Google Meet. Teams for me works at probably Z right now, because for me it's the difficulty of accessing and it's the difficulty of just moving around Teams. You need to set up all your links, contacts, all those things, which should happen automatically. And so I don't have time for it, and as a result, it's my worst enemy right now.
Yeah, maybe Richard can ask
Yes.
you in more details, but my question is, why do you use Teams at all?
Well, because at some time, like now, I get invited to a webinar, and you need to be able to be on Teams to participate.
Not in this case, eh? Oh, sorry, you're talking generally. Sorry, Nawal.
Yes, and I would like to be able to. There obviously is benefits to using it, because Outlook and Teams are linked and all that sort of thing. And obviously, I want to learn more about how I can be more productive on it.
Okay, thanks.
And not
Richard?
just missing it all the time.
Thank you, Nawal. I think you voiced the frustration of many people. Richard, would you
Absolutely.
like to respond?
Yes, and well, what's so interesting is that I started out in a similar position as you've explained, way back when. I mean, in the corporate context, it just works. It just makes sense. You've got your teams and you're doing your teams. And then I experienced the way Gerrit Duncan and myself and another colleague is doing in terms of running a productivity club and hosting it and managing and keeping the content up to date and engaging with each other. And that was literally, we are disparate people sitting in 4 different places working as a team and not even as a company. And that came out nicely. Then in your case, if you look at the way you start off, you could, for example, type in an email address of any person that you want to engage with and give them a call, and you can engage with them as you would. I mean, instead of it, you don't even have to. You're in Teams. You don't set up a meeting. You can put in the email address and trigger off a chat with them, for example. And if they're on Teams at that time, they can start engaging with you. If you send out a link to an invite, they don't need to have Teams right there and then. They would be taken into Teams or fire up in the web version, and you can start engaging. So I think they've definitely advanced this Microsoft as they speak to. They've actually advanced in terms of making Teams that much more of a one-to-one tool as well, whether you are in a corporate-to-corporate understanding or not. So I'm really keen and happy at any point, if you have an opportunity, I can demonstrate some of this for you and just share some of the flexibility. I think the answer lies in the fact that if you desktop and web and phone, I saw a question coming through on phone. It does help to understand a little bit about the variances and differences and purposes of the desktop app versus the web app versus the phone. And yes, you can use the phone to kick off a call as you would in WhatsApp. You can send a message to people in the chat. So as long as you go into chat and somebody else is on team, the team here, for example, Gerrit and Duncan, we've got teams sitting next to our WhatsApp on our phone. So that same little label key that comes up and it says 2, I can see I've got 2 messages there. I'll go into it, I'll see who it is, and I can engage with them. So definitely Teams is becoming much more stronger in that. I'm not even saying it competes with WhatsApp. That's not the point here, as much as we are able to engage with each other without having to go via WhatsApp. And that's just to be able to then remain on one platform. So if you're happy to, and we can actually arrange a time for you, please allow us, and and let's take you through some of the flexibility that
Yeah.
is in there.
I think to
similar
make
Zoom.
Richard, to make it easy, what I'm doing, what I'm going to do now is I'll put a link for everybody in the chat. It's a link to my Calendly. It's for a 17-minute chat. I'm not going to give you Richard's link and Duncan's link and my link. When you want to talk to us about this, you can go to that link afterwards, or now you can just book 17 minutes, and you can tell us, tell me what you want to talk about, and we'll set something up. And Richard or Duncan or I, we will chat to you. More than welcome to do that. Anybody else with a question? Thanks, Naval. Much appreciated from you as well. Okay, Richard. Would you like to, based on what you've seen in the chat now and the comments of people, do you have some tips and tricks for us maybe that you would like to share? By the way, any questions, please just start talking or raise your hand or just type in the chat, I want to speak, and then, we'll give you a chance to speak. But Richard, while that's happening in the background, is there something that you maybe would like to share with us?
I feel so, Gerrit. I think what could help here, again, and just leveraging this diagram, right? If you look at the fact that we speak of Teams and Outlook. So now we're saying, what has Microsoft actually already done in Outlook to make engagement with Teams easier? So if you're okay with that, let me just pop into some following scenarios and just walk us through that, right? So let's have a look at this one.
Sure.
So I'll just go across here. Look at this example, and the headings and the context is in the red. So set Outlook to always create a Teams or an online meeting invite. And what we're highlighting here is that Microsoft has said, if you are in an environment where each time you said meeting invite and then find yourself going, oh no, but I want a Teams invite, and you then go to Teams invite and include that link in there, you can actually go and set it as a default in Outlook. So if you go down to Files, Options, and Calendar, and then click on there, and you'll see that there's a calendar option, and in there is an add online meeting to all meetings. And then if you click on meeting provider, it'll then give you the option to say, well, I want Microsoft Teams. So you can see literally in Outlook, it's already the opportunity to say, I actually work with Teams and I want you to click on online meetings through to Teams. So this is something that I think could be useful for you if you find yourself totally going and continuously kicking off that meeting. But by the same token, so now there's an exception. So
Richard, sorry, can I just interrupt? Philip mentions black screen, maybe signal delay. Is there anybody else that has visual issues that we just check in that? Also battling with black screen, black screen, black screen.
Do you think I should refresh?
There's Heather is fine, all fine, no fine for me. Every time with me in Windhoek, mine's fine, all good by me. Thank you so much for your feedback. I think we can continue, Richard. Thank you.
So sorry. I'm sorry though for the people that's experiencing the black screen. Let me switch slower.
No, it's fine,
Okay.
Richard. Most people are fine.
Okay.
Fine, Daryl. Yeah, that's maybe best. If you have black screen issues, we don't know why. Some people see fine. We'll send you the recording.
Thank you. So just to pick up on that point. So now we've set the default for Teams to whenever I create a new Teams meeting there, or I could go here, new meeting. And if I click off new meeting, it will also fire up a Teams meeting. But just to show you, so I do say, if I go click new Teams meeting, great. So here I am in the meeting now, but you'll see that there is an option here to say, don't host online. So in Outlook, they're saying, okay, but in this case, I just want an Outlook meeting. It's just somebody with me or the colleague. I don't want us to go and have a Teams link sitting down the back bottom here. So it doesn't force that understanding. So it won't then, the minute you do that, it doesn't do that link back to Teams and create the meeting out invite there as well. In addition to this, what I would like to highlight is this highlighted portion here is the meeting options. So not only does it remain in Outlook to set up the meeting, you can also click through and look at the meeting options and then say, who should actually, always let callers bypass the lobby. Or no, click, I want people to come into the lobby. Announce when callers join or leave. So you'll see there's some options here that you can set and switch about this meeting as you would have in Teams. The one thing that I just wanted to highlight back here is as much as you could click at the top, there's also an option at the bottom, meeting options, and you'd expect that to go to the same place. In effect, what this one does, it actually goes to the web it opens the web browser and gives you a more full detailed version, exactly as you had done it in Teams. So just to highlight for you how integrated Outlook has already made the link to Teams that you can fire up from Outlook. And of course, if you are setting up a meeting invite from Outlook, you've got the benefit of all your distribution groups, the preemptive typing up, I want to meet with GR, and the minute I put a GER, it drops in Gerrit's name. Those are all the pluses coming out if you do the invite from Outlook itself. But nothing precludes you from going into Teams to do that. Any questions around this one? Did you actually see these in your Outlook? And when you have opportunity, you're just going to have a look and see whether you can find these links in Outlook. So that's the calendar portion. Any questions on this one?
I just want to, if people can pop in questions, please do. And if you have a difference of opinion, please do that as well. I would just like us to hear from you. We have another couple of 10 minutes or so left. Do you feel that we're on track? Is Richard helping you? Just say track or no track, if you wouldn't mind that we just know. Beverly asks, how about recurring meetings? Will this work too? Okay, Sia says we're on track. Good, lekker stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, Richard, you're on
No,
track?
for sure. Yeah. This is a normal meeting invite. Your recurring, it all sits there. As you can see, make recurring, do it all day. This is Outlook. It's just that it'll actually pull it through to your Teams setup, right? So just to look at this one then, I just want to go back here now because this is another option, another scenario that plays out. So here we go. We've got share an email with or without attachment. But what are we saying here? What a share to where now? So again, in Outlook, you'll see the normal typical under home. There's the typical menu items, and then you've got this share to Teams. Now, what's quite great here is, again, beforehand, you used to have to go to Teams, right-click on the channel, look at the channel email address, copy it from there, come back here, paste it in the mail, send it to Teams. But now you literally go in here, you type in your channel name, and if you've got a number of channels you've already used in Teams, it would have sat here under an item called recent, and you would have just selected from that. But the fact that I've now got innovation, I will click on the innovation, and then it'll take this mail. If there was an attachment, I could include them, and it'll take it straight into Teams, into that channel for your project. Say you're running a project, or you now want to collaborate around this mail. And that means you can then actually go and switch to Teams, and it'll take that attachment, put it into files, and you can now start a whole conversation thread around that email and unpack it and do what you need to do it. That means you're out of Outlook. Again, as we say, the minute you find this, you don't have to, just because the email came into your inbox, it doesn't mean you're tied to Outlook and now you need to break out of your project team mode and come and do your conversation here. You'd rather just do the share here and go and do that unpacking of that Outlook with its attachments and collaborate on the file in Teams in the topic or the context that you want to do that.
Richard, I have a question for you. We have about another 10 minutes or so. By the way, we will. This is a 30-minute webinar. We're happy to. Richard, are you okay to hang around later on if people have questions after half an hour?
We can, yeah.
Duncan, if there's any questions, Outlook way, are you happy to? Okay, so but we'll formally. You don't have to hang on. I have a question, a quick one for you, Richard. You use the word channels. And you explained to me what the best use for channels is. I used to make it too complicated. The way I understand it now, just say if I have it right now, a channel is for a conversation about a specific topic. A channel is not a huge difficult thing. If you want to talk about this webinar, then we have a channel for that, and we talk about this thing there. So a channel, if I understand it, is topic centered or topic related. Correct?
Definitely so, Gerrit. And then the channel, just to highlight or to build on what you're saying, is the channel will be a topic in the context of the team. If the team is medical aid effectiveness or efficiencies, argument's sake, that's the project, medical aid efficiencies, then a topic could be medical expenses. Now, at least you know that's a big enough topic to do all your conversation around medical expenses in that channel. And then you could have another topic that just speaks about medical aid processes. Now you know that I'm just going to pick up anything around processes in that. So you could have a number of channels running in that project called medical aid optimization efficiencies.
Thank you.
So,
Before I mute myself again, just want to make a comment that for those of you on the call, you can see at the top you have the chat tab, and there's also a Q&A tab. So sometimes the chat gets going, and we could miss a question. So if you want to ask Richard or Duncan or myself a question specifically that you don't want us to miss at the end, just use the quick Q&A section. So type in Q&A and pop your question in there. Okay, anybody else who wants to chat to us or be a video star or like questions, ask in the chat. Any questions? Richard, if I'll check the questions, you can
Okay.
maybe share something fun with
Yes.
us.
So let's go through, and Gerard, that was such a very nice tie-in that you did there of the contextualization, because you can imagine if you happen to have somebody working from outside, they're not a guest on your team and they're not engaged in the team, but they've come in and you might have thrown a query out to an external party. So you couldn't have done that in Teams, as we said. That's where Outlook comes in, and now they've replied, and then from there you're going to take it straight into that channel and make work of it. So I just think it shows you how immediately the email conversation and engagement in the team doesn't need to remain in your inbox. It can go straight into the team by virtue of share to teams. So I think a good scenario to look at there. We've looked at that one. Just bear with me as I switch across. And then initiate a Teams meeting directly from Outlook. So this one here, again, here's another little link from Outlook that we just want to share with you why we say Outlook and Teams can coexist. Here's Meet Now. If I click on that, it's going to go straight into that well-known upfront setup before you go into the meeting. But you would ask then, fine, so I'm going to switch on my camera and I'm going to look at which audio I'm going to use and do the other settings. And I'm going to say join now. And when I click that, it opens up and it says, great. Okay, well, you fired off this request from Teams. It's an open-ended request. You didn't say who you would like to speak to. So I think coming back to Noel's question earlier, just to show you that I could go straight out of Outlook, come in here and then say, right now, I want to add the participants. So I could start inviting people. And they don't need to be part of the organization. I can invite them, and I can either internal or external, and I can copy the meeting link and share it with people. So just to share again, be aware of these Teams links in Outlook that quietly sit there, and we're not always that apparent or that aware of them. So this is quite handy just to go straight out of there. Play with these, test, and we'd love to hear from you as to what challenges you might have experienced with it or what worked for you or didn't work. But just interesting that there's definitely more to Teams and Outlook working together than sometimes meets our eye or awareness.
Yeah. Richard, maybe you want to engage with SIA separately. A question is, I work mostly with data on across documents and teams. One of these issues I've noticed is people on the secondary team cannot refresh the data being pulled from the regional team, so they don't have access to. This means we always have to go into their teams and update their documents. Is there a way for their documents to update without me going into their team? Maybe a suggestion, I don't know, Richard, you will be judged on this. Is it a short enough answer to answer here, or would you rather engage with SIA afterwards?
SIA, if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind. I would love to engage with you afterwards. Face value wise, I know that there's a new channel type and channel sharing link, and possibly an answer lies in that. So if you go to create a channel and you're engaging with people across organizations, and there's a link which you could literally say that you're making it a shared channel. So you're not just inviting guests to it. So let's see if that could possibly be an answer for us. I'd love to engage with you on that one.
Just something else. So Patricia says, I never knew there is so much one could do on Teams. I will embrace it from today onwards. So Richard, well done for opening Patricia's eyes there.
100%. Thanks for that feedback, Patricia. Love it.
Duncan, how about the chocolate for Patricia?
And then this one, I just want to show you the fact, and there's more than just this one, but I just wanted to show you that here we have we in Teams, and now I am on a conversation, and I click the three dots, the ellipses, and it'll give me the option to reply to this conversation or pin it or save this message, mark it as unread, and here it is, share to Outlook. So if I had a long thread running here, and I wanted to share that with an external party saying, you know what, guys, we discussed this yesterday in depth, and you should see what came out of it. It was really some great creativity. I go share to Outlook, and it'll literally fire off. It'll say, great, there's the link to that engagement, that discussion, and it'll tell me, let's get it off to Outlook for you. And you can then start formatting and sending it off to Outlook. So I think definitely be aware that's just one option. By the same token, if you went into a team and a channel and you clicked on the ellipsis, you can get the email address of that channel and you can start engaging with that. So here, as much as you can share to Outlook from chats, you can also do that from your posts where the conversation threads run. So definitely two-way to get out to external parties if you wanted to share with an external person what's happening in Teams. I think that's the tips we've got going. I don't think there's anything else on these. There was one other aspect that I haven't got here, but I would love to share with you, and that is just to notice that you could, for example, and if I look on this slide here, this little blue tick, that's the to-do. Now, you might not have seen that, but what's so valuable that I enjoy, I must say, because I use Task for Planner in Teams, if an email comes in, I literally flag it like we normally would. We would have flagged it and I would have put it in tasks in Outlook, but I no longer do that. The minute I flagged it, it automatically pulls through to Teams. If I then go to Teams Task by Planner to the to-do, I'll find all my flag items sitting there and I can go and start working on them and put them into the right channels or just start actioning them or assign them. So I think I should actually have included this one for you because it's just so valuable. But I do know many folks don't work with Task by Planner for now, but it is definitely a game changer. We can have a whole topic just on Task by Planner and not even to speak about lists and how lists can use you and the loop component. But that's a little outside of the context of Outlook and Teams. So sticking to the topic here, sharing with you that even to-dos speak to Teams.
We are on time. Duncan has a question, and then we can. What I will do, by the way, in the meantime, Duncan, can you just mute, please? I will just open a poll. This is just we'd like to hear. If you would like to hear from us, we found that what works best, in for people, if you have a challenge, is to have just an informal chat for a couple of minutes to understand your situation. See if and how we can help you. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. So you're more than welcome to just use that poll. Let us know if you want us to contact you about Outlook, about Teams, or working together, anything. And if you respond to the poll, we will contact you accordingly. So feel free to do that. No pressure, no anything. It's just we'd like to help you if we can. So let us know in the poll whether you would like to contact us. Duncan, you have a question, and then we are done.
One of the features in Outlook that I really enjoy using, especially when I'm working with people in other organizations, is the ability to view other people's calendars. Can you, in your teams, Richard, if this is something that you know, can you view someone else's calendar, or can you view a shared calendar in the Teams window, or is that something that you can only do in Outlook?
I must say that I've had this question before, Duncan, and unless it's changed in the past 2 months, behind the scenes, but no, you couldn't do that at that time. You would literally schedule a little blindly, and especially the guests. So, but in Teams, you're not talking about scheduling a meeting. You're literally seeing their calendar.
Correct. Yeah. So in Outlook, I can have a shared calendar, say for my team, that everyone can access. I just want to know if that's possible in Teams as well.
The sharing that I think would get closest to that is if, for example, you create a calendar in a channel. So here you've got 16 people, and you want to have a calendar that you can all use as common to that channel. You can set up a calendar for the channel, and then you can schedule. And so definitely that's one way you can do it. And I think that just makes sense, right? So everybody in that channel, from that team's perspective, each channel can have its own calendar because it's topical. We're going to meet on this topic in this calendar, and the next channel can have it. So yes, you can have you'll see that if you go to at the top where the plus sign is, it literally you search for a channel calendar, and you'll pick it up and you'll be able to share.
Perfect. I think that will solve a lot of problems.
Okay.
A final closing. We're on time. Richard, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. I would just like to ask everybody in the call, in the chat. I know, again, this is just scratching the surface. Would you like Richard to not do a repeat, but to have another session like today? Did you enjoy his sharing the slides and talking about it? You had the opportunity to chat. Would you like us to do this again? Just yes or no in the chat. and that will help us to see whether you would like us. Yes, 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 absolutely. Another session would be helpful. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. So would be help other members of your team. Yeah, see, you can. We will do that, and we're more than happy to do these free of charge. If you would like to do something down the line for your team or your company, then Richard can chat to you, Duncan can chat to you, and we can help. But yeah, we will do. Richard, are you okay with this? That I know I didn't ask you before.
I love it, Gerrit. It's just so great to see people's enthusiasm to learn about how to get the better or the most from their team's experience. So
Okay.
more than happy to have these chats.
Okay, great stuff. I like Lydia's response. Yes. So maybe your keyboard got stuck there on the S's, Lydia. Just teasing. Okay. Okay, great stuff. Thanks everyone for joining us today. We formally closing off. I will keep on the recording, but we really appreciate your time. We really appreciate you joining. We are here, and we will stay on. And if you have any more questions, just pop it into the chat or unmute yourself and video on, and then we can talk. Up to you if you want. Yeah, your videos and your microphone, they are all enabled. So you can just switch on your camera and switch on your mic and you can chat to us. Or pop something into the chat, a question, and Richard and Duncan will be more than happy to respond.
Perfect. Thank you for all that. Thanks for the positive feedback, guys. We're always happy to learn. You can be candid. If there's something you can help us to improve on, definitely open to it as well. Thank you.
Melanie, Melanie, I hope, I think I always get this wrong. But Melanie, Melanie, thank you very much. Yeah, happy that it was informative.
Can I ask something?
Please do.
Hi, it's Desiree. I'm literally on the web at the moment because I clicked through on the link and that's where it took me. I have on numerous occasions tried to play with the app completely unsuccessfully. And
on the phone.
I gather you were working from the app. Everything you were explaining was related to the application that's on my computer.
The desktop app.
The desktop app.
Sure, yes.
Okay, so I need to just get in there and go and look at it again.
What are you experiencing that you're saying you need to do that just to appreciate?
Well, I guess really I was forced onto Zoom, so Zoom became the sort of standard, and I never really had anyone to work with in terms of Teams, so it never became a thing at all. But I use Outlook a lot, and I've learned a lot about Outlook from Duncan and Gerrit, so it seems logical that I should take the step. So I literally, while you were talking earlier, I was going, where on earth are all these things? So I managed to go and find what you were talking about on Outlook. I suppose I need to watch this video again and then go and have Teams open so that I can find the equivalent.
Yes. And
again, Desiree, what I will do is I only have mine at the moment, but it's fine. If you would like, Richard, I'm offering your time for free now. If anybody would like Richard just to contact you, I've put my link again in the chat. You can book time there, or alternatively, you can just send me an email. Send my email address is there. Send me an email and just let me know I'd like to chat with Richard, and then I'll put you in touch with each other. Sorry, Richard, you were saying something, and I rudely interrupted as I always do.
Not at all. I mean, I'd love to hear Desiree. The web version has become a little closer in its functionality to the desktop version, but definitely it plays differently or has a little different feel to it. It's just that more flexible dial in from anywhere. Even if you're not on your computer, you're on somebody else's computer. You can call up the web version, log in with your Teams, and do what you need to do. So, but I'd love to understand the desktop version for sure. Do get it going, and then. Of course, we were just showing the interaction from Outlook to Teams and from Teams to Outlook. But once you're in Teams, of course, there's so much to unlock there. And that'll help you productivity-wise.
All right. Thank you for that. I will play a bit before I ask someone, because otherwise I'm going in a bit blind and that's not much fun for you.
Yeah. Context-wise, just to get that context and some understanding of your own foothold. And then once you've got that, you know where you need to pick up on some questions. Perfect.
Richard, there are a few more people on the call. I did put your right email address in there. Hey, just from memory, Richard at prodactive.co.za. If anybody would like to connect with Richard directly, please do that about Teams, and you can contact me. If you want to chat to Duncan and me, you can use my email address that I have there in the chat. Any more questions? There's nothing, Richard or Duncan, specifically in the Q&A. So,
well, that's perfect. It was just encouraging to see the folks saying, let's have a couple of more of these type of sessions to share.
No, I think it will be lovely. Great. Thanks, Desiree. Thanks, Patricia. Oh, it's lovely. Lovely having everybody here.
Thank you, Sia. We'll look into the mail for sure and get in touch.
Okay, I'm just checking, Sia. May I follow up with you after I test your solution? Sure. Sia, I have put Richard's email address in the chat. So you're more than welcome to, I'll just copy it and put it in again, so it's closer to your question. But there you have Richard's email address. You're more than happy to follow up
and
with
just
him.
To share with Sia, I think I was looking at the vet's question. We do, Sia, I know it's one thing to look at that share channel, but it will also be interesting just to have a little more insight to the experiencing you're having, because Gerrit and I and Duncan, we collaborate on files, and I have not experienced refreshing issues where Gerrit does something and then I have to go in and refresh. So
I'm sorry, I'm tipping in. I just said, Sia said I have a meeting coming up, so
she might be offline. Okay,
Sia,
I could be speaking to myself.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I think the two of you can just have a chat with each other afterwards, and that'll be great. Oh, there's you still there.
Thank you. Okay.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? Or can we now safely say thank you for being here and cheers for now? Oh, okay. Thanks, Sia.
Have a great day, Sia. Thanks. But please, I'd love to speak with you just to firstly see whether you need to go and set up anything different. Take care.
Okay, there we go. Everybody, thank you so much. Richard and Duncan, thank you for being on the call.
Thank you, everyone.
And we will have another one, maybe a month or so down the line. And there we go.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.